Wow, friends and enemies. I just noticed, Len, when I hit go live, it had 4K pre-selected. So hopefully...
So we could see this in glorious HD.
High def.
It's Singapore dollar. Thank you to the individual. I don't want to name your name just in
we
case
already said Wedge sent it to us.
Oh, was it? Okay. Thank you, Wedge. I appreciate you sending this in. Did I say Wedge? I can't remember.
Yeah, we talked about it with the DVD too. We talked about
cool.
well, friends and enemies, I guess. Welcome.
I'm not gonna spend that in one place.
Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. Man, Len, we got a lot to talk about tonight. It's good to see you. Happy Monday. Back to the snow on the ground this morning. Very disappointing. Definitely affected my mood when I woke up. Not gonna lie about that. It's on the grass. I don't know. I'm not getting the snowblower out. I'm not going to mix any 50-1 up, but I'm just telling you that it's not great.
If by 8 o'clock it was melted away over here. I'm not sure if it was the same thing over there. So
Len, it's the principle. It's almost April.
It's March.
I should be wearing shorts.
It's March. I'm shocked we haven't got any big snowfall for the month of March. Normally it happens. We haven't, and it looks like we're not going to get one, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But we're going to get an election. This we have started. It's election season here in Canada. So gear up. We'll talk about that in today's show.
I thought my tag was going to be good, the long end of the yield curve, but yours is even better. Breaking news, obviously, Carney refusing to do the French language debate. Did you see Blanchette talking to the press about an hour ago?
No.
Someone asked him if, we'll talk about this, but tension's rising. Someone asked him if he thought Carney was afraid of being able to speak French at the debate. And Blanchette said, what is Carney not afraid of at this point? I keep on hearing that he calls him this guy. He says, I keep hearing this guy is tough enough to take on Trump. He can't even come to Quebec. Oh, man. Sign me up. Blanchette, that's good shit. I heard Carney today, a friend of the show, who's not been on, but I'll have to have him on at some point. Freddie New. UK crypto Bitcoin attorney said to me today that there's documents about Carney being evicted from his one of his UK apartments for not making rent or not following up on rent or mortgage. And in the document, it lists Carney as, it has like his vitals in the document. He's 5'4", I think he said 5'4", 5'5", peanut sized. You put him in your pocket.
Well, he's a goalie, right? Back then, goalies were smaller.
Allegedly Harvard Division I goaltender. So
yes.
How does that make sense?
Well, no, so goalies back in the day, they were not very large, right? Patrick Roy broke the mold in the 80s as being a large goaltender. So typically, Fuhr was 5'10". Fucking Alan Bester, man, was 5'0", and he started for the Leafs, right?
I'm not a hater. Like, I'm probably 5'9", 5'10" on a good day. If I got the right shoes on, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm some giant. But 5'5" on a debate stage with Poilievre, who's doing a cycle, looks like yesterday he looked huge on stage. Gonna be hard to overcome that, I think.
Have you ever punched in his name just in Google, Pierre Poilievre?
No.
You do that right now.
Sure.
I want to see if you get the same picture I get from him, because the picture that shows up is a Bloomberg photo, and it doesn't look
him walking out with a sad face, kind of
looking. I find that to be
it's on purpose. It's on purpose.
I find it to be kind of funny when I saw that. Like, and if you type in Mark Carney,
what do you see?
Just his headshot smiling and everything, like typical what you expect.
I hate these people. Like him. I absolutely hate these people.
But the Poilievre one is funny. He's like, what the fuck kind of photo is that? Google, what are you doing?
Insane. Absolutely insane. Well, let's talk about the sponsors, I guess. Like, we got lots.
I don't want to go on.
We're gonna get back to that. We're gonna dance on some thin ice tonight for sure, you and I. So we may as well start with the sponsors. EasyDNS. You can't dance on thin ice without good sponsors, and EasyDNS has been a sponsor of the show. And Mark has been a friend to Len and I for years now. I just sent Mark a picture and posted it online, actually, of my daughter in her bomb thrower onesie. I don't think there's any infant on earth besides my little one who has a bomb thrower onesie. Can't beat it. Mark is the co-founder, I think, or did he buy the company? I forget. EasyDNS is his company. We use it for our website. We are underutilizing EasyDNS as far as like an actual DNS domain hoster provider. But you don't have to. You can use Mark as much as you want, and you can do so at a 50% discount if you use our code. You can go there and use his DNS registrar. You can bring a domain if you have one already, or get one through Mark. DomainSure is a security suite that he uses. We talk about that every week on Access of Easy, the other podcast we do for EasyDNS, and it'll ensure that you're not on the receiving end of a nefarious action from somebody like Lazarus or any of the other oddly named, creatively named hacker groups out there. Not to mention, Len, if you're a Bitcoin enthusiast, BTC Pay Server, Nostr Relay, Bitcoin Node, you can do it all over there with the virtual private server suite of options. You can't beat it. We try and make sure that we have the best in silo sponsors. I think we've done that so far with EasyDNS. I don't know if anyone would ever, you can't beat Mark. Mark gives you your money back if you don't like the service. That's pretty rare. Accepts Bitcoin and other crypto. He can't be batting 1,000, but he does accept everything over there. And, we'll never pull your stuff down. I know he's like, you don't have to say that every time, but it is true. Look at the last 10 years we just had where everyone and their brother was getting canceled. If you were on EasyDNS, you would not have been pulled down because Mark would not have allowed it. So go there. CBP Media is the code. Start up a website and tell Mark we sent you, or say hi to him in the chat. Maybe he's here tonight. I don't know. He comes sometimes to the Monday show.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It's good to see him when he does show up in the chat. Look, we got a second sponsor, and what are you going to do? You have to buy Bitcoin, right? This is a Bitcoin show. People want to buy Bitcoin. People have to get into Bitcoin. Where are you going to do it? In Canada and in parts of Europe, you could use Bull Bitcoin to do that. And it's wonderful because it's not custodial like a lot of other exchanges. And why I say that is when you do buy from another exchange and they hold onto your Bitcoin, there's a level of risk that comes along with that. If something happens, if the exchange gets hacked, or it could go tits up, then you lost your Bitcoin. Bull Bitcoin doesn't give you the opportunity for this to happen. Once you make your buy, you have to provide an address in order to facilitate the purchase. And this is what you want in exchange, not custodial. So Bull Bitcoin, you can do it on-chain. Lightning too. Lightning we'll talk a little about today, but on-chain is still relatively cheap. And looking at the price right now, 87,000. So it could be a good time to buy. It could be a good time to sell, whatever you think is the best for you. Either way, if it's high, the price of Bitcoin, then why not use that to pay some bills, right? Like use the Bull Bitcoin bill service to pay some outstanding bills you have. And so you're kind of using your Bitcoin as a way to pay off some debt you have. Also, you could buy gift cards with the Bitcoin. If you think the price of Bitcoin is rather high and it's not too high, not too bad. So use that to buy gift cards so you can start spending your Bitcoin indirectly in the real world. So check them out. If you have not yet opened an account, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Open up an account using our referral code below, and you do that. $21 will be added to your account once you provide the necessary information and fund your account. So check them out. That's where I make my buys.
Huge. That's where I make my buys too. You guys ought to do the same. Boost, shall we?
Let's do that. Okay.
Oui, bien.
D's laughs 117 sats. He says testing 1 2 3 because there has been some issues with me getting all the information. I think I got it all now. So yeah. It's 2 hours for Cherry, isn't it?
It's definitely not Don Cheery. He's never been very cheery, that fella. Yeah,
he has in the past.
I gotta remember to tell people. Sometimes I put comments up in the chat, and like the audio people are like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" Boomer just said he's gonna tell his grandkids that we were Ron McLean and Don Cherry. Which one of us is Don? That's the question.
I don't know. Top W Cone 250 sats. He writes in. Kentucky requires you to report any gold or silver you own on December 31st and the value at that day. You then have to pay property tax on it. If you sell any, you pay capital gains. And if you buy any, you pay sales tax.
Interesting.
The sales tax is going away in June if the legislators don't change the law. So governments do what they can to make you report your gold buys. I did not know that was the case in some jurisdictions in Kentucky too.
That's crazy. Yeah. Kind of does make sense. Like, what is gold? It's property, I guess, right? I don't know.
So I think that was a response to a comment which I made because I was saying, look, with Bitcoin, you don't have to report it. Same thing with gold, right? Like, why would you have to report one? You shouldn't have to report the other. So it makes sense. I can't believe that's the case in Kentucky. Either way,
how many people are actually doing that? That's gold that's really hard to enforce. There's a lot of de minimis amounts of gold, right? Like if you own a gold chain, do you pay property tax on it? If you own a gold ounce, I don't know. It's hard to track that kind of stuff, especially because of the jewelry use case. Plus, as Peter Schiff always points out, like are you telling people that you have gold fillings, the gold in your computer, the gold in your phone? Like where's the line? I don't know. There must be a line there somewhere. There's more to the story, I'm sure.
Well, Mo BTC Dick writes in 475 sats. He says, because Bitcoiners putting in work, stoked to check out Vexel. And this is in response to an interview that I had with Michael DeGroot on Wednesday last week. And he was talking about Vexel as one of the peer-to-peer services which you could buy and sell Bitcoin. So, yeah.
Mike's been doing good work. Did you download the app? I have the app on my phone. It's pretty slick, I must say.
No, I have not. Have you opened it and tried it out? Somebody has in their chat.
No. I haven't yet, but it does look pretty good. I think once there's a market established for some of these things over here, you'll have a little bit more fun with the P2P apps. And I think, not that this is a problem for Vexel, but I think it has historically been a problem for HODL and Bisq especially, because the people who are using it are they're sophisticated users. I think in a lot of cases, there hasn't been a big push for quality UI, for example. And so, that's a negative, I think, if you're trying to expand the P2P marketplace to people who might just want to buy, guys like, even at our level then, neither of us are using P2P exchanges for the time being. But if the opportunity presented itself and it was something you wanted to do or you wanted to sell, for example, I don't know if I'd buy P2P, but I could be convinced to sell probably. Why
would you be opt to do one but not the other?
I don't really care who knows if I buy, but I'd rather have plausible deniability if I sell, right?
Certainly, but
that's the case. I think I'd.
So, I mean, this is going into a discussion we probably shouldn't talk about right now. But if you happen to have Bitcoin and you want to exchange it for fiat, without using an exchange, what other options do you have? Peer to peer is like that's really the only. That's it. And so, I mean, if there are people out there using it and there's enough feedback about a particular user, because Bisq does give you the opportunity to provide feedback on users, and so and there's one guy in our chat in our Discord, I forget his name, he talks highly of Bisq.
Yeah,
he does.
Bisq is good. The app is nice. They made a significant improvement, I think it wasn't last year, it's probably 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, to the UI. It's nice. Like, it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not unusable, okay, but it could be better is all I'm saying.
No, Bitcoin itself, period, could be better. The user experience with Bitcoin, it needs work. But you know what? Who cares? It will get done. But anyways, let's move on. Got two more boosts to write. Jer, 5,000 sats. Thank you very much. It says, at Joey, I don't always agree with your takes, but always respect your proof of work. Your segment on the mids barking at us to, quote, buy Canadian and, quote, toughen up, hit the bullseye. I appreciate you both. And he gives a salute.
Salute. I've received a lot of good feedback on that little rant. I didn't love having to give it, but I think a lot of us are probably experiencing similar things to what I'm experiencing when I go places and people tell me I got to have my elbows up and all this other nonsense. Like, what are you really asking me to support here? And I think it's important to remind people what the last few years have been like.
And Michael DeGroot, he's boosted himself. He's boosted is the show that he was on. 9,000 sats. Thank you very much. Great episode. Thank you for having me on. And handshake. So appreciate you. And would like to have you back on.
Mike's great. Absolutely. Anytime. If you guys have guests you want to have come on the show, we're happy to take some nominations here. It's my turn on the interviews coming up. Len's done a solid job for, I think, 4 weeks now, 3 or 4 weeks.
I might have to go book one or two more. I'm trying to figure it. So I may have to
find out. I'll tell you, me and Cove Wallet developer Praveen will be doing a show Thursday at 6. Len is going to try and make it. You're going to hop onto that? Yeah.
I would like to.
Yeah. You're going to try and make it. I'm going to try and have some sats handy to test the wallet. And I have to remind myself to ask Praveen to get on the test flight, the Apple beta test, because I do want to put it on my phone before the show. Next week, Dave Bradley is going to come by on April 2nd.
Is he number one in terms of the number of appearances?
He's got to be close. You know who's probably up there too, unintentionally, is Carlo Campisi. Boomer's up there for sure as a host, not so much as a guest.
Period. Boomer.
Him, SB, probably up there. Yeah. There's a few others. Who are the multiples we've had, right? I mean, Francis has been on 3 times, I think. Who else?
Mario Gibney a couple of times at least.
Gibney, I don't know where that guy is. I'd love to talk to him with all the AI stuff going on.
I chatted with him not too long ago.
How long is not too long?
Half a year ago. We chatted by through an app, and next time I'm in the downtown core, I'm gonna have to link up with him and
totally tell him I want to talk to him.
And I was downtown very recently, but I had to quick in and out, so I didn't have time to do anything.
That's life. Yeah. But no, so Dave's gonna come on. I told Steve Soretsky I would send him a few times, so I will have him on at some point. But we'll figure it out. Len, you want to do 1 or 2 more? No problem. I'm happy to pick up the slack on.
Yeah, you just see the schedule, go from there. This is
totally.
And I think that's it before we could dive right in, Joey.
I'm ready. Let's get to it. Yeah.
Well, the Bitcoin will keep kind of short because I think, again, the back half of the show is going to be the longest part, right? Like, I don't think there's a way around it. There's going to be a lot more to talk about there, which is,
I got a request today, Len, from someone who listens to the show that we should do a second podcast that's just like our cultural / political takes. And I don't know. I don't really want to start a new show, but there's demand for it. There seems to be demand. Don't forget, we split the Bitcoin and what used to be called Clown World, now it's called Notable Stories, because people wanted those stories broken up. And now there's even more demand for the back half. But I don't want to be a political show. This is a Bitcoin show. It's a Bitcoin focused show. There's some economic talk, some politics talk. But at the end of the day, the thing that ties us all together really is the corn. So I appreciate the the desire to hear us go back and forth about politics and culture. I'll probably save it for the kitchen table, honestly.
Especially with summer coming up, it's going to be more challenging there.
Yeah, I don't want to add more to the schedule.
I mean, I love you all, but I want to circle links to more tennis and golf. Yeah. Anyways, let's dive right in, and we'll kind of keep it on the brief side for the Bitcoin stuff. So my apologies. Number one, we'll talk about this strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, announcing more fiat offerings for people out there. Something called Strife, STRF. That is a ticker name. And it's, according to Michael Saylor himself, this is a new perpetual preferred stock offering, and it's available only to institutional investors and select non-institutional investors. So it sounds like retail.
This is the same as STRK, right? That was the same wording.
Kinda. STRK, I believe, has an 8% yield. Where does the yield come from too?
No, the yield I'm saying, but I more mean the target audience, right? Like this, or all institutional and some retail, basically, is the way it's worded.
But STRK, could anybody buy that? It's available just for
a lot of people can. Like Mark was telling us, he had it on his Big Six bank brokerage app. It's there on mine as well, but it's not on Wealthsimple, which probably tells you something.
And STRF or Strife, I think that's just going to be only select few are going to be able to take advantage. There's another thing too. It comes with at least a 10% per annum yield on that. Where does the yield come from? This is a question that I would love to find out between STRF and STRK. Each of them have a decent yield. We laugh at DeFi. Could it be DeFi strategy? Is this going to be their new name moving forward? I don't know. But to their credit, they did sell 5 million shares of the Strife, and it looks like they used that to buy quite a bit of Bitcoin today. So this is their MO. They're going to sell whatever, and with the gains from that, they're going to use the majority, if not all the proceeds, to buy Bitcoin, which I think that's a pretty interesting model until it's not able to continue to be done. Eventually, you're going to have to pay back something. Yeah. I just think that they're going to just continually get into debt. That's what that is cheaper for them than what the gains are with the Bitcoin, what they perceive to be the gains, and whatever. It's an interesting strategy for them, for strategy at that. So I just got to say that interesting, but still not available to at least not directly, maybe indirectly. Retail investors could get in. And
what did you say the ticker was? Strife, STRF?
STRF, correct.
I don't have it. I do have Strike, but I don't have Strife.
Yeah, so this is probably the big boys that are able to get in. This is a minimum of 10% yield. Depending on some sort of scenarios and how things work, it could go up from there. So I guess if you're looking for a steady stream of income, if you're going to buy bonds from X nation and get 7-8%, this is a little bit more. Is this safer? It's up to you to decide. But certainly there was a lot of interest in this because they were able to sell 5 million of these shares.
Yeah.
Somebody bought them. Wasn't you, wasn't me, but somebody fucking bought them. And what did they do? They bought Bitcoin with it. So good for strategy for buying Bitcoin. But at least there's a little bit of concern on my part, the yield part. Maybe a lot of concern. I don't know.
This is great from Yoshi on Twitter. I didn't know you could comment on Twitter into the chat, but I'm putting this up on the chat. Maybe they can guarantee 10% because they can keep moving the price by themselves by far more than 10% for now. They've had trouble doing that in the last 3 months, right?
What do you mean moving the price themselves? You're talking about the price of Bitcoin?
Yeah, of Bitcoin. So they can just keep using that. Exactly.
And that really impacts the price of their stock. Right?
They're betting big on the price. Like at this point, Saylor is no longer betting on the tech, right? He's no longer betting on this thing being independence money, freedom money, whatever you want to call it. He's betting on the price going up, and he's betting big on it, like hundreds of billions of dollars probably in terms of the actual value of the stuff that it would cost him if he went under.
Not him.
Whose
money
company,
is it
whatever.
really?
Yeah, it's someone else's. Yeah.
It's people that buy into this, right? If somebody has one share or more of MicroStrategy, or they have STRK or STRF, they're the ones that are going to be impacted from this.
Yeah. And what's the old saying, right? For people who are taking the debt from MicroStrategy, if MicroStrategy owes you $100, it's your problem or their problem. If they owe you $100 million, it's your problem. And so this is a law of large numbers type thing here. We'll see what happens with this, but the other thing I still don't really understand. I've been a MicroStrategy bull for a long time. I still think that stock is going to hit $1,000 sometime in the next year or two. Fine. But again, like you're playing dangerous games, and Yoshi also mentioned that perpetuals, like the perp swaps, these are not sound instruments. And so if you want to play something high beta to Bitcoin, I would say MSTR is like as far as you should go. There's no need to get into this yield stuff. There's no need to get into STRF. There's no need to get into, all this. It's dicey. It's getting more dicey by the day. And if the price doesn't move on, $500 million of buys, what did he buy today? 500 million, something like that?
Something. I don't know the exact number, but I remember
the price is not really moving that much. 1 or 2 points on 500 million. And by the way, that includes good tariff news. That includes the Fed moving toward quantitative easing. That includes what's his name there? Bostic, Raf Bostic saying this thing, inflation is going to come down to 2% till 2027. Like all these things are good for Bitcoin usually. And to see the price move 2 points in addition to getting the MSTR buy or the STRF, buy, whatever you want to call it. Not great. I would say that this is getting to be maybe not precarious, but it's definitely getting to be a little bit dicey. I just want to note as well, I just looked at my TD app to check if I could get these STRFs. You know what TD charges for a stock trade?
$15.
$10. You buy more than one share, it's $10 flat rate. Crazy. That's nuts, man. You can get free trading anywhere in the world, and these guys are still charging $10. They're toast. Banks are fucked.
In many ways, but yet people still use their services. They're not valued at what they are because people are shying from them. People are happily parking their money, myself included, right? Like my paycheck doesn't come to me in cash. Yeah, it gets deposited, right? And I'll try to buy Bitcoin with that, but still I have to use their services. I don't use their I have to say this, I haven't bought a fucking share on anything in fucking years. I'm not in any like maybe CBP may be doing it on my behalf, but I'm not fucking directly doing it. So right, like somebody's doing it for me, but I have no say to that either way. The SBR, we should talk a little bit more about that, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, because there's how they're going to be able to get Bitcoin, accumulate Bitcoin. People should look at Bhutan, especially the people looking at managing the SBR, as potentially one way to do this, because they have established a great way. I'm talking about Bhutan for the time being, at the very least, that they have been able to get Bitcoin, and they've been using this as a sovereign nation, Bitcoin mining, and they're using surplus electricity that they would normally sell at a discount to their neighboring countries, and they're using that instead to demonetizing that and buying Bitcoin, or sorry, mining Bitcoin, and they've been mining this for several years. And all this time, they've accumulated around 11,000 Bitcoin. And that's about 1 billion USD. These are round numbers I'm giving, which is a decent amount, 11,000 Bitcoin for the country of Bhutan. I took a little bit more more in-depth analysis into this. Bhutan's GDP, the last information I saw from Google was from 2022. So things have changed since then. But at that time, it was around 3 billion USD was their domestic GDP. 3,700 USDT per capita. So $3,700 per capita. So that's if you want to just use that metric, because it seems to be a better metric. So in terms of the Bitcoin they got, it's around 1,700 Bitcoin, $1,700 per person from Bitcoin that they hold. So it's 0.02 Bitcoin per person, around $1,700. So it's nearly about half as much Bitcoin per person as they have as a GDP. So, and this is what they've been able to accumulate just freely, just for using excess electricity, which makes sense. So it's a very efficient way, at least for the time being, to mine Bitcoin. Every 4 years there's a halving, so it gets harder and harder to mine Bitcoin. Plus there's more and more equipment being added to the network, and the self-adjustment makes it harder to mine Bitcoin over time. But still, It works for them. So going back to the SBR, they should look at the opportunity of of using excess electricity to mine Bitcoin. They're not going to sell their excess electricity to neighboring countries, right? Like look at Canada and Mexico. If anything, the Times are saying they're probably not going to deal with them for the most part. So anything extra they have, they'll probably keep for themselves. So what the fuck are you going to do with it? Mine Bitcoin. It only makes so much sense. There's only so much they could store. So, and in terms of the states that have excess electricity, there's a few of them: Wyoming, North Dakota, West Virginia, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Texas, Montana. That's a lot of a lot of states, and they have excess, and there's states that don't have it. They have to import it, like California, large state that needs it, Virginia, right. Ohio, Massachusetts. So yeah, but it's not like you could easily transport that electricity from one place to another if it's long distance. It's just going to be like a lot of loss to transmission and transporting. So it only makes sense to just use it locally and mine Bitcoin. That makes sense for the SBR to me. Even Pakistan, I mean, I could go a little further here. Their central bank is saying they're exploring the opportunity of mining Bitcoin with excess electricity because they have frequent times where they have too much electricity. Makes sense. They've been putting up a large number of coal-fired power plants, including wind and solar farms. Good for them. Let's make use of that. So this is what's going to happen moving forward. The SBR, I think, should look into this.
Do you think they're going to?
Probably not.
It's like zero chance.
What options do they have?
What I think is more likely. Let's assume that guys like Besant and Lutnick, who both understand Bitcoin, let's presume they understand mining. Okay. Let's presume they understand energy, and let's presume they understand all this stuff about excess power and going, to Bitcoin mining and why it makes sense. Blah blah blah. They'll never do it, but what they could do is reward companies that do by buying shares in those companies using this new sovereign wealth fund. It's good for Americans, it's good for American companies, and it's good for the strategic reserve. The bigger question for me is, do you want the government either mining on their own or owning companies that mine with the expectation that they're going to give some of the mined proceeds to the strategic reserve? I don't think you want that. I think you would prefer if energy and commodities go to the people first and to private industry first.
Yes.
And then those people get to decide what they do with it and are rewarded in the marketplace, the equity market, the, movement of capital, whatever. That's what you want. And so when people say they want the government to look into this stuff, I think what I would really prefer is that second scenario. So are they going to do either one? I don't know. But I could see the sovereign wealth fund investing in companies that mine Bitcoin. One, because I think the guys get it, like I said. But the other thing, Len, I think you're probably right in that there's only so much longer you can go without doing this for. So you're going to be investing in these companies. If you're buying S&P index funds, you're going to be buying, ExxonMobil that's doing this stuff. If you're trying to support domestic oil and gas because of the trade war, if it keeps up, all this stuff is going to require capital to flow into these companies, and the companies are going to do the right thing. And if we think the right thing is Bitcoin, then they'll get exposure, and that's how they'll wind up getting it.
And if a government mines Bitcoin, is it a negative, a positive, neutral?
I don't know. It's positive for the price. If the government comes out, in a month or a year or whatever and says, yeah, we're setting up a warehouse of miners, one of the data centers we're building is going to be a Bitcoin miner, then yeah, that's a 20% day for Bitcoin. But if a company like Exxon, who's mining, I think Exxon was running a pilot scale operation a few years ago. They may still be running it, but
all of them were probably running something. There's no fucking chance.
So let's say one of them is actually now willing to go the extra step and say, yeah, we're going to establish some behind the meter minimal mining operation. Let's say, okay, it's going to be, one warehouse of S21 Ultras, submerged in olive oil, whatever the hell these guys are doing now, and that's good for Bitcoin, and that may be another strong indicator. If the government decides they want to buy that company in the wealth fund, the sovereign wealth fund, then that's strong too. I don't think that's a 20% day. If the government comes out and behind the the desk in the Oval says anything about we're mining Bitcoin, we're buying Bitcoin, we're doing whatever, it's huge. Anything else like a secondary exposure, tertiary exposure, whatever, that's good. But we don't need that. Like Bitcoin enthusiasts and maxis, like we're already pretty sure it's going to happen. It doesn't affect my conviction. What would affect my conviction would be the government saying that they're going to mine. That would be significant.
It'd be interesting. It changes nothing for me in terms of my level of conviction. Really, it's just you're parlaying excess electricity into what? Potentially getting Bitcoins from mining. Anybody could do that, right? Yeah. If you want to set up a power plant, you harvest the power of the sun or the wind and start using that to mine Bitcoin, you have every opportunity to do that. So if a country wants to do that,
the other thing too, though, like corporate mining in America is way, far and above anything you see anywhere else in the world. And as we know, if the USA gets, a hold of a payment system or a monetary system, what happens? They do censor, they do pressure to censor, they do pressure to remove. So you get that risk too, right? There's a lot at stake here when it comes to mining, thanks to the mechanisms, but it's not necessarily. Are
you talking about censoring transactions specifically?
Yeah.
So that's a good segue to the next topic, which would be Stratum V2, right? And there's the first Stratum V2 pool may be coming very soon. This is called Demand Pool, DMND. Demand pool. And for now, they're trying to attract people to come in or miners to come in. You have to apply to get approved. And if you are, it's going to be 0% fee for the first 2 months. So I'm assuming it's likely going to be big miners that are going to be first enabled to use their pool. None of us garage miners using bid axes will probably be unable to get in, but what do I know? For Stratum V2, though, what this does, it enables you to build your own blocks, the individual miner to build your own blocks. And that's what gets around the whole censorship thing. Is right now, if you join a pool, pick a pool, any pool, the block is built by the pool manager or whoever's administering the pool themselves. You're just providing hash power and somebody else is building the block. They're adding whatever transactions they want into that block that's being built. With Stratum V2, the individual miner has the opportunity to do it. So that takes away that whole censorship thing. So it decentralizes mining in a big way. Furthermore, it increases security because there's end-to-end encryption built into this, and it prevents something called a man-in-the-middle of attack. Yeah. So, and furthermore, it optimizes data transfer, so it makes things more efficient between the miners and the pool itself. And furthermore, the last thing that Demand is doing, they're trying to put out this new payment system called Slice. I don't know much about it, but apparently it's going to maximize miner payouts with no hidden fees. Let's see if it works. But what you should be looking at more specifically here is Stratum V2. We don't have any yet. The closest we have to something like this is Ocean's Datum. And so we have now Stratum V2. It's been a long time coming, and finally we have one. I'm not sure what the technical hurdles, if there's any, still exist, but this is what we need with respect to mining moving forward, because this will take away any pressures from it saying it's centralized and there could be censored transactions. This is the best thing for us.
Okay, question for you. Where is the hash rate going to come from to populate this pool?
Initially?
Yeah.
Like I say, it says it's 0% fees for the first 2 months. So any miner out there that is mining with a pool and is paying more than zero, probably will put a little bit over here, give it a shot and see what the payout is. Plus, including that new Slice payment system, I think they would like to see how it works in the end. If it's more profitable to do it like this than use, say, F2 pool or something else, then certainly they're going to move all their hash power to this. So it could be from anywhere. It could be from one of the big miners, publicly traded or not. Not a lot. They'll send us some of their hash power over. That's my guess.
Yeah, like a half migration or something.
Maybe like a 10th or 100th.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like something really small, right? I don't know. This is mining now. Pools specifically are becoming inescapable because of network effect, right? So, like, no one's leaving the brains pool for this just because of the anti-censorship features. I don't think.
Why not?
I just don't see it happening because you're significantly lowering the chance that you hit a block. So even with the no fees, with all the other stuff, like you're mining at the end of the day, let's face it, to do one thing, and it's try and hit that block, right? And it's cool if it has a CBP logo on it or looks cool in your garage, but that's what you're trying to do. And those pools, they're just not going to shed hash on the basis of virtue. At least I don't think they will. And the corporate miners, the big corporate miners don't enter into public pools. They're running their own pools.
No.
So what?
No.
Like which big public miner is not running its own pool.
None of them. If you go look at mempool.space, you could kind of see all the pools out there. And no, Mara is the only one that Marathon, they run their own.
Marathon has their own. What's F2 pool? I'm going to go look right now.
DMG Blockchain runs their own mining pool, I believe. Very small.
I'm going right now.
So no, they're all just attaching to somebody else.
Oh my God, I typed in mempool.space. What's this woman doing on my screen?
And
I should have made that my tag. Your wife loves my mempool. Yeah, Luxor, that's okay, that's not its own. Ampool is its own.
F2 pool.
Foundry USA is its own. F2. What else here? SEC pool, I don't even know what that one is. Via BTC, presumably a public pool. Marathon is its own. Binance is its own.
These are all public. These are all you just join in. Somebody's running it, and it's not like it's administered by.
Okay, what's the better way to put this? The better way to put it is if you jump into a pleb pool, let's say, compared to a corporate pool, is maybe what I should have said.
What's a pleb pool versus a corporate pool?
Like a pleb pool would be like I don't know. Let me go look here. Like
these are all pleb pools. Everybody's joining in.
Yeah, but is it fair to say that like F2 pool is more of a pleb pool than Mara pool?
It's Chinese. So F2 pool is certainly Chinese. F2 pool has censored transactions in the past.
Right.
As per OFAC instructions.
Yeah, OFAC. Yeah, we talked about that.
Marathon's a publicly traded company, so they're going to bow down to any sort of regulations that's been passed on.
That's what I mean. Like there's corpo pools and there's pleb pools. Let's say that's the distinction.
Oh yeah, Brains will probably be more of a pleb, I'm guessing.
Right. So what I'm asking is like, what's the motive for? There's no motive for a corpo pool hasher to jump, even individual hasher. What's the motive for the pleb individual hasher to jump?
They could build their own thing, their own block.
I don't think it's enough.
It doesn't matter. It's infrequent. If you join F2 pool, you're still going to get more payouts, but just a smaller slice because you have a large
more people. Yeah.
Right. Versus a smaller pool, you'll get less payouts, less frequent payouts, but larger payouts because you're going to be providing a large amount of hash comparatively to the overall network. So the only one that seems to buck the trend, and Bob Burnett has talked about this quite a bit on Twitter or X.
Bob Burnett, also a candidate for most appearances on this show, I think.
Yeah, I got to bring him back on.
Yeah,
soon.
He's been on a bunch. Yeah,
and he's mentioned that for whatever reason, Ocean gives him the most revenue. Like he gets the most out of.
He's in the sweet spot there. Yeah, the less payouts but bigger payouts, right?
Either or, he's getting just more compared to others. So for whatever reason, Ocean, their setup. Maybe they're more lucky, or maybe there's something more to it. It's more profitable for him to point his hash rate towards Ocean and another pool. And he's written about this extensively, so somebody can just check it out if they want.
So some debate in the chat here. Tore up saying people are lazy. Yoshi disagrees. People will leave. I'm not sure where I come down, but we're gonna find out because everything is transparent. So we're a couple months away here from seeing some trends starting.
One thing about this though, I'm talking about the demand pool. They raised capital funding, so venture capital investments was done in order to help facilitate this. So they're going to obviously be subservient to the people that lent them money. That could be the one thing here that may be problematic. But if the miners themselves are building their own blocks, I don't know. I got to see this play out before I think this is a negative or a positive. It just
Early days. We don't have to have it a conclusion yet.
Yeah. Remember back October, I think last year, HBO ran that documentary.
Who is Satoshi?
Electric Money, whatever the fuck it was called.
No, wasn't HBO the guys who tried to find Satoshi?
That was it. It was Electric Money.
Is that the title of it? Was
they pinned it on Peter Todd as being So shitcoiners are now going to get a bone thrown to them. Because Apple TV and Prime TV plan to premiere on April 15th, so just 3 weeks from now, give or take. Something called Vitalik, the Ethereum story. And I'm wondering, you listened to Bankless, did they talk about this at all? Because they must have been just jizzing all over this.
I haven't listened to Bankless in a while, but as I usually do Mondays, I pulled it up just to see if I was missing anything. Hilarious titles the last few episodes. The Friday review episode they always do. Ethereum's leadership move, Solana's inflation debate, and crypto's macro struggle. I don't know if crypto doesn't seem to be having the same problems that Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not having any problems at all. And then today, Ethereum's next big upgrade, Pectra, Fusaka, and beyond. What the fuck is going on? The
names they put for these things are just, I love it.
Why don't you worry about fucking 3K instead of fucking Fusaka, or maybe getting to a new all-time high before you worry about these other fucking upgrades? You know, like you're down at 2000, you're at 2015 levels or whatever the fuck.
Comparative,
give me a break, man.
Bitcoin, it's taken a beating. And,
oh my god, deserved, by the way. Like they're the fucking thing. Ultrasound money going the wrong direction now. They have more emissions than Bitcoin does again. You have people like Meltem Demiror, who's like the ultimate, 6 out of 10 on the hot scale grifter, taking advantage of all these fucking soy boy losers who have never seen a woman in real life before, going to these conferences and getting sold every fucking snake oil and elixir that she can possibly peddle to a crowd of fucking idiots. Now talking about, the proof of, the proof of stake merge? Was that the merge, right? Or the purge or the splurge? Whatever it was, right? Yeah. It was a mistake. We should have gone back. Like, you guys are so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Well, that camp.
Are you going to be watching this documentary? Apparently,
100% I'm going to watch it. I'm having a viewing party. Yeah, I'm inviting you. You coming over? I'll make some popcorn. I've been seeing some good YouTube shorts on how to make homemade popcorn. Maybe I'll throw some on the stove.
It's on a Tuesday. I'll pass. Yeah. Apparently, it's going to be talking about, chronicling his tech vision and the Ethereum community.
Are they going to have him dancing in the fucking rabbit suit? Like, how much are they going to document?
Oh my god!
Picking his nose and eating it in the crowd at.
Oh my god,
permissionless or whatever. Is that going to be on there? Where do we stop?
Are they talking about
him saying that child porn has no victims?
Oh my god, yeah.
He's a fucking clown. Like, I hope to go into all that stuff.
But with all this being said, we can't overlook the fact that they rolled back the blockchain. Remember, okay, guys, you can stop trading.
Stop trading.
Yeah. So this is centralized. I don't know why they would invest any time and effort into it, but I guess there's enough shitcoiners out there that's gonna lap this video up and enjoy it. So good on you. I'm not gonna. I didn't watch the one on Satoshi. So why would I even bother watching this one?
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I probably will watch this though, to be honest with you. I listen to Bankless every so often, so what's another hour of my time? I'll get on the recumbent bike or the spin bike, I should say, and just watch it.
Did you see that Tales from the Crypt? They posted something interesting about the Lightning Network and
TFTC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they they got a cease and desist. They call themselves Truth for the Commoner now. Tales from the Crypt is an old
TV show.
Nickelodeon show, yeah.
And
so they got big enough that they got a cease and desist.
Crypt Master,
yeah.
I used to watch that.
Yeah, awesome show.
Yeah, this is like the early '90s. I know, maybe late '80s.
It was on TV when I was a young lad.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I didn't realize that there was a TFTC. Then I apologize.
Sorry, Nickelodeon. Don't send us anything.
Yeah, fuck you, guy. So it was. The post that they put on there was mentioning that the transaction volume of the Lightning Network has been growing quite a bit. In August of 2023, so just less than 2 years ago, the volume totaled for the month of August only 12 million. And a little bit over a year later, in November 2024, it reached 285 million. That's a huge difference. And I'm wondering, too, how much of this can be attributed to Zaps on Nostr, because I think a lot of people are just sending small amounts of Bitcoin for posts that they like or just things that they like in general. And I'm wondering how much of this is being contributed to 285 million just for the month of November of 2024. And also another thing to consider too is the number of exchanges that have allowed people to buy using Lightning. And if you look at it, it goes up. Like I have a little chart here, and it's just every year there's more and more exchanges that get on board, including Bull Bitcoin. You can buy through Lightning with Bull Bitcoin, but Lightning, it works in great for high fee environments, but really it does have its challenges. The scalability to all 8 billion people, or how many are in it, it doesn't work right now. So, But for right now, it seems to be working. There are limitations, but it is successful for what is being used right now. I know that the UX in it is challenging, like managing liquidity,
Definitely.
channels.
Yeah, channel management's like a huge hurdle for people.
It really is. But once you figure it out, then it becomes not easy, but at least you are your own bank, especially when it comes to Lightning, right? Because then you are then hosting everything and it's all in-house. So yeah, I just looked at this and I didn't realize that the amount of transactions on Lightning has spiked that much in a short period of time.
Good or bad for long-term network longevity that Lightning is absorbing transaction fees?
I think it's good overall. I think it's negligible. Like, I don't think it's measurable.
Yeah,
in terms of what it's doing right now.
Well,
but
maybe it is measurable. Like fees are super low, right? Like, what are they?
Yeah,
still like a couple sats a V-byte, whatever it is.
And I'm wondering how much it has to do with just an ETF being available, and if people want exposure to it, they don't want to deal with buying it through an exchange and holding it on their like using their own node or their own cold card or whatever. I'm just wondering what the fuck. I think the ETFs are taking a lot of the load, for better or for worse.
Even the replacement fees right now, like RBF is 7 sats per V-byte. That's super low.
Yeah,
that's
cheap.
That's like what, 60 cents, 70 cents?
We didn't talk about, I don't know if you do want to talk about, is I gave you something. I gave you a piece of hardware.
It's shit. Len bought me a computer off some geezer on Kijiji or whatever and put a node on there for me and started syncing it on Start OS. It's all unusable. It is completely archaic. The OS is in a fucking browser window. You have to clear the cache, and the cache in the browser constantly needs to be cleared, because if you don't clear it, then the Bitcoin thing won't run. If the Bitcoin thing's not running, you can't sync the node. It's just like it's impossibly annoying. It's not difficult. It's annoying.
That's Start OS. Pick something else.
So I'm gonna buy a Ronin Dojo or something. Just spend a couple $100 on the thing. Just sits on my desk and looks cool.
I don't get it, Joey. People have spent weeks trying to sync their node on, say, a Raspberry Pi 3. You can do it. Just go through the process. It's not instant gratification.
But it's not. But the problem is that I can't just wait. The problem is that I can't wait. The problem is when I wait, I go to the laptop, see what's happening, and the thing isn't running because the cache in the browser needs to be cleared. And then it's like it has problems with the syncing. It has to like reattempt the sync over and over again. And so it'd be fine if it was like working AFK, but it's not. That's the problem.
See, Paulie's right. Like, you just need I didn't want to give him Linux. I put on Start OS. I thought it was going to be the easiest, and I just gave him this.
I'm gonna have to get Ubuntu now on a thumb drive.
Yeah, or Mint. That's generally considered very easy to give Mint a shot, and then you could run Knots, and you're rocking and rolling. And then you know what, people, then there's nothing to say about Joey not running a node. He's almost there. When I gave him this,
I just want to note that Len is doing this as a service to me, but all you guys chirping me in chats and Discords and Twitter, fuck you. I don't care what you think. If I don't want to run the node, I'm not going to run it. If Len didn't buy this for me, I wouldn't wake up in cold sweats thinking, oh my God, the CBP chat's telling me I got to run a node. Absolutely. I don't have to do anything. I am my own man. I can do whatever I want. I can run a node or I cannot run a node. Anything I want to do, I can do it. That's how that's how life is. That's how, for friends and for enemies. If I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. That's all there is to it.
And no, Paulie's right. Like, I should have just loaded it with Linux.
Why didn't you buy me a nice $2,000 Start 9 kit? What happened? Like, come on. What are friends for here?
The machine I have literally 2 feet from me is a 15-plus-year-old laptop. The thing is fucking ancient. I upgraded the RAM. I upgraded the storage, and it runs it fine. It's running Debian, albeit a little slow, but on it just fucking does the syncing of the Bitcoin Core. I know I'm not running Knots. I don't give a fuck. I'm happy with Core.
Yeah.
And it works for me. If that 15-year-old piece of shit laptop could fucking do it for me, people run it on Raspberry Pi 3s, and those are severely underpowered. It takes weeks to fucking sync. And you know the problem syncing now? The syncing takes forever. The last little bit.
Fuck, it's like impossibly slow. Yeah.
And it's because of this spam that took place. And that is it. If you look at when when the slowdown happens, it happens somewhere around 2003-ish, I guess. Up until then, it breezes. Like, it's a relatively quick process. Then as soon as you fucking get to the spam, it slows down. So that's a real world problem of what happens with the spam. It's funny and blah, blah, blah. But the IBD takes forever as a result, especially when you have underpowered equipment. All you really need is time and patience. And once it's done, it's done.
I'm looking up right now. What was the name of that? The Ronin Dojo? Is that what it was called?
You have the piece of equipment. You don't need to fucking change it. Just fucking install, sit back and relax. Put the mint on there and then enjoy. Yeah. It's going to work.
I'll
hardwire it too. Don't deal with the Wi-Fi bullshit.
My Wi-Fi is faster than the write speed. So I did hardwire for a bit. It's the write speed's the hang up, not the connection.
Yeah. So if you want to make it even faster, you change it to a solid state drive, because it's one of the old school platter drives. Mm-hmm. But if you don't give a shit, if you got time, I can let it do its thing. For people out there, $60 is what I paid. 12 GB RAM, 1 terabyte drive for $60.
And the guy you bought it from did not have a cell phone.
He did not. What an interesting guy. I had a chat with him after, because he did not. He's an older guy from Moldova, right? And so we were chatting about back in the day, under the Communist Party rule and so forth. So he didn't need it. He didn't need a cell phone. From where he came from, it's just not needed for him.
God bless him. God bless him.
Man.
Yeah.
Joey, let's fucking end this, because we have a lot.
We went normal time here. We got problems.
No. We normally go a little bit longer. I have shit to talk about. We all have shit to talk about.
Sure. Come back if you're on audio for tomorrow's show, where we talk about King CARNEY and his upcoming battle with Pierre in the Canadian election. Long overdue, in my opinion. But if you're anywhere else, stay tuned. We're not going anywhere.
And don't be a cock.